In this tutorial, we will take a look at the features and functionality of a SharePoint calendar, and I will be working in the training site of this intranet. A calendar allows you to maintain a list of events within a team site. Some common uses for a calendar include tracking meetings, deadlines, or milestones. By default, a calendar list is part of a team site, and there is a link to the calendar in the quick launch. So click on the link to open the calendar. When you open the calendar, it defaults to a 30-day view of events. Events appear in the calendar as boxes with the time and event title. To view the details of an event, click on the title to open it. And here you can see all the fields of information related to that meeting: the location, start and end time, description if any was entered, category, and then you just select close to go back to the calendar. When the calendar opens, it always defaults to the current month. Couple of ways to navigate through the calendar. You have the mini calendar on the left-hand side here, where you can select a month to navigate to, or you can actually switch to different years using the arrows up on the year bar. In the calendar to the left of the month, you also have the navigation buttons to navigate to next and previous months. Other views of the calendar can be found on the Calendar tab. On the left here, you see month is highlighted as my current view. You can also view a week at a time or an individual day. Regardless of whether you're viewing month, week, or day, you still have these arrows to navigate forward or backward through the day, week, or month. I'm going to return back to the month view for June. If you have more events than what fit in the area, as you see here for June 18th, it shows me the first three and then indicates there are two more that I'm not seeing. One way to view the additional two is to click on the two more items link, and it expands the row to show me the other two. Or click collapse, and it goes back to hiding them. Up on the ribbon bar, I can also choose to expand all rows or collapse all. To add an event, click on the Events tab, and then click on the button New Event. So we'll fill in the fields of the new event, starting with the title. Then we can enter a location, and then the start and end date and time. This is going to run on the June 25th. And it's going to start at 9 a.m. until 4 p.m. You can assign a category to this event from a predefined list, or enter your own value as I did here. And just as with an Outlook event, if you make it an all-day event, the time options disappear from the start and time because it blocks out the entire day. So I'll uncheck that to bring back the times. So I finished entering the information for this event, so click on the Save button. So back here on the calendar page, I see the event that I've just created. To make changes to an event, just click on the title to open it, and then click on the Edit Item button at the top. This opens up all the fields so you can go in and make any changes to any previously entered information, or maybe add more information like adding a description. When you're finished, click the Save to save the changes. You can also change the date of an event by dragging it to a different day. So let's say this event I just entered for Friday the 25th is now being moved to Wednesday the 30th. So you just point to that event and drag it into the new time slot. In this next example, I will demonstrate a recurring event and the meeting workspace feature. You can also create events that occur on a regular basis, such as weekly or monthly meetings, using the recurrence options. You can also create a meeting workspace associated to a meeting, providing a place to store information for a meeting, such as an agenda, supporting documentations to be presented in the meeting, and meeting minutes. This recurring series of meetings is going to start on Monday the 28th. So I'll start from that day. Another way to add a new event is clicking the Add link within the day you want to put the event. The date is already filled in the event window. So I've entered a title, location, and the specific start and end time of 9 to 10 a.m. I'm going to select recurrence to make this a recurring, repeating meeting. Then I select the recurring pattern, and this is weekly. It will occur on every Monday. And I just need to change here that the end date is after 6 occurrences. I would also like a meeting workspace to be created for this meeting series to store the information related to the meeting, such as attendees, agendas, and documents, and so forth. And then I'll select Save. Next, SharePoint needs some information about the workspace site that it's creating, and it first needs a title. By default, it uses the title of the event, which is fine. It's already given it an address using the title of the event as well. You also have the option to set specific permissions to this workspace site. For this example, I'm just going to leave it at the same permissions as the rest of the site. You can review the tutorial on creating sites with unique permissions if you want to learn how to limit access to the workspace site. Then I'll choose OK at the bottom here. In this step, I can choose a template for the workspace site, which determines what lists and features will be available on this workspace site. As I select the different template names in the list here, at the bottom it gives me a description of that template. And I'm just going to go with a basic meeting workspace. Then I'll choose OK. So this displays the workspace site. By default, it comes with an objectives list, an attendees list, agenda list, and a document library where you can upload documents relating to this meeting. All the upcoming dates of all the related meetings appear on the left. Right now, the arrow is pointing to the first meeting on the 28th, so any changes made to these lists will all pertain to the June 28th meeting. If I need to add information for one of the future meetings, I would click on that date and then add the information to the list. So each meeting date can have its own set of items in the list. At the top, it provides me with a link to go back to the calendar. When you or other coworkers need access to the meeting workspace site, you would click on the title of the meeting to open the details, and at the bottom is a link to that site. When I click on Course Redesign, it opens up that meeting workspace. Next, we'll take a look at a feature called Calendar Overlay. This feature displays events from multiple calendars together in the same view. They can be SharePoint or Exchange calendars. You can display up to 10 different calendars. In this demonstration, I will add the events from the Human Resources calendar onto my training calendar. So starting from the Open Calendar page, on the left, click on Calendars and View, and this displays the Calendar Overlay Settings page. Click on New Calendar. First thing we do is give a name to this new calendar that we're adding. This is a SharePoint calendar. If you want, you can add a description for the calendar. And then we can select a color for the background of the events on the calendar. Since my training events appear green, I'm going to select a different color here and make the HR calendar events appear orange. Next, we have to identify the URL address of where this calendar is located. So right now it's reflecting the location I'm currently in, which is the training site. So I need to replace training with human resources, which is the name of the site where the human resources calendar resides, and then select the resolve button. If I made a typo typing in the name of the site, after clicking resolve, it would let me know that the URL I specified does not really exist. But it's okay, so then I'll just click the OK button at the bottom to save the settings. This returns me to the calendar overlay settings, and now under the additional calendar section, the HR calendar has been added. So I just click the OK button here, and that completes the steps. The events from the Human Resources calendar have been added to the training calendar as indicated with the orange background. A link to the Human Resources calendar was also added to the left below Calendars in View. If I click this link, it will open the HR calendar. So now I'll click the back button just to return to the training calendar. As changes are made to the calendar in HR, they will automatically be updated in my training calendar. Finally, we will take a look at how to view events from a SharePoint calendar in Outlook. This feature will add a SharePoint calendar alongside of your Outlook calendar in Outlook. So we'll start by opening the calendar. From the calendar page, I'll click on the calendar tab at the top and then select Connect to Outlook. If you get this Internet Explorer prompt, select Allow and then choose Yes to confirm the connection to Outlook. The SharePoint calendar is added to the right of your personal Outlook calendar. You can click the Overlay button of the SharePoint calendar to display both calendars combined as one. Click the button again to separate them. A reference to the SharePoint calendar is added on the left under Other Calendars. If you are using Outlook 2003, the events in the SharePoint calendar will be read-only. However, if you are using Outlook 2007 or higher, you can edit the SharePoint calendar in Outlook, and all the changes will be synchronized with the calendar in SharePoint and vice versa. To demonstrate, I'm going to add a new event to the SharePoint calendar here in Outlook. And this event is going to be placed on the 29th. So I'll double click on that date in the calendar and the new event window pops open, set to Tuesday the 29th. So I've entered the subject, the location, start and end time for the meeting. Then I'll click Save and Close. So it's placed on the 29th here in the SharePoint training calendar. So now I'll switch back to my SharePoint window. And we don't see anything here yet on the 29th because the page needs to be refreshed. So up on the top here, I'll click on the refresh button. And now that brings in that meeting that I had created in Outlook.